something else. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I'm just like finishing some stuff up. I'm adding final details, basically all the geometric stuff that I wouldn't be able to. That looks alright. All the geometric stuff that I wouldn't be able to draw easily enough, I'm placing on in Maya. That'll be fine. Just because I know that it'll be. Yeah, a whole bunch of this is just like duplicated, simple polygons that I've done a little bit too. Like, it's all kit bashed. Like, that's the advantage to modeling for visdev, is you can just kit bash like fucking everything, and it'll end up looking really good. So yeah, that's the main thing that I've been doing, and this one, I'd say this probably took about 6-7 hours. It was a long model, because there were a lot of complex shapes and a lot of difficult stuff I needed to work out. It took me like 20 minutes to figure out how to do this. Like, to figure out how to do it and make it not just look completely just like doodled on, like make it actually look exact. That's the thing with this kind of stuff, is you want to make sure that it looks precise. That's why poly modeling is really a lot better for ZBrush with this kind of thing. You mentioned that Michelle wanted to know how to make a specific shape.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Oh no, Michelle wanted to know specific button presses, specific modeling techniques. Oh, you don't have any questions about how to make a specific shape. That's fine. Yeah.
Well, I think it's more like sometimes we have a shape drawn on paper and it's a little bit difficult to figure out how to model it the way we want to. Like, how do you troubleshoot like curvier shapes or different angles or anything? Like, how do you go about it?
I mean, if you want, I could like demo on like one of your scrap designs or something. If you wanted to send me something, I could try to like let you know the basics of how I would make it.
Okay.
But the thing to keep in mind is always like if it would be more complex to model than it would to draw, then draw it. But if it's more complex to draw than it is to model, like this boat, then I'm gonna model it. But like, I'm not modeling all of these little antenna, this like the rigging and the extra stuff, the stuff like the flag. This stuff, that's a waste of time to model because I can just draw it really easily. Like with a little anchor divot. That's complex to draw, but it would be even more complex to model, so I'm not gonna bother. Also, because I've been at this model for a while and I'm kind of tired.
Right.
So yeah, if you want to like send me something, I can demonstrate really quickly how I might model it.
It's uploading right now, but I think, for example, what technique do you use to get the exact shapes you want? So you do vertex or
Move what?
edges, or do you specifically grab the vertex?
Oh, all of the above, really. Like, if like the thing about polymodeling is you need to be comfortable with all of the different ways there are to manipulate the shape. Like in ZBrush or in a sculpting tool, all you really need to know is push and pull. Like, you push it in, you pull it out. You take material away, you add material. But like if I wanted to, let me think. I'll demonstrate on this piece, which is really tough. So if I wanted to make this, then what I would do is, and like I said, it took me a little while to figure out how to do this. So like, the other thing is you need to think about it a lot. You need to sit down and you need to be like, okay, so how is this gonna work? How would I create this shape and make sure it's accurate? So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm just going to cut it in half to make a triangle, to make like a
Which tool is that again?
That is the this one. It's up here. What's it called? I don't know. I think it's called like the slice tool or something. So then I'm gonna delete half of that, and then I'm gonna select opposite facing edges and hit the bridge button right there, and it's just gonna poly bridge that. So now I've got this. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to extrude from each of these faces. Now, if I try to extrude from two together, then it's going to give me if I try to extrude from two together, then it's gonna give me this. That's not what I want. So instead, I'm gonna extrude from each of them individually, and I'm going to make sure that they are a uniform thickness. So I'm going to 0.2 right there. And I'm doing this by holding middle mouse and dragging my mouse across the screen. And then I'm going to do it again over here. Oops. And also, like, I'm not like a virtuoso with Maya shortcuts. I do most of my work with Maya on my mouse. I only use a couple. So now I've got this shape. So I can just delete the inside, and then I can poly bridge again inside here. Yeah. And then there are a whole bunch of faces that I don't need anymore. In fact, there's a better way to do that. I can grab this and then double click on that one holding shift, and I can select them all the way around.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you just did all the ones on the outer facing.
Yeah, because what I want to do is to come up with what I want is to come up with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need any of those, or none of those are correct, really. So then, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna grab this one now. I'm going to delete history, and freeze my transformations. That grinding noise you hear is my graphics card. I don't know why it does that. But it's a common problem with the card. I need to send it in soon. And then I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to -1 scale on the y-axis, like that. And then now I've got this shape here. It's not quite what I want though. So what do I want to do? Maybe I want to. So I'm working in whole. There we go. I'm working in whole numbers. And I'm making sure that everything is aligned to the grid, making sure that nothing is like coming unaligned or going in wonky directions, and then if I accidentally freeze my transformations, then I'm never going to be able to get it back exactly how it was before. So I'm making sure to always just keep things aligned, keep things perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it. I'm going to hold D and then V and then middle mouse, and I can middle mouse to different points, and that's going to move the gizmo. So I'm going to move it right there. And then I'm going to hold V and middle mouse, and that's going to move it right there. So now I've got this.
So B like dog, and then B like vector, and then middle mouse?
Yeah. So I delete those because I don't need them. Now I can say combine these meshes. So now it's all one. But these are still two different edges. That's not a very good way of explaining it. But these are still two different edges. And also there's nothing right there. So I'm going to grab these vertices and merge them. Same with these ones, right? No, these ones. No, these ones. Yeah. And merge them. Now it's all one. I can do the same thing again, or I can bridge this. Now we're really getting somewhere. So last step is I need to actually finish the shape. So I'm going to grab these edges and I'm going to extrude those, bring them up, and then scale them down, and then constrain to y-axis, match them to there.
Wait, how did you constrain them to the y-axis?
You just click with the gizmo, click on that, and then you can only move on the y-axis. You can only move on the x-axis. But and then if it's constrained to the y-axis, and then I hold V and middle mouse again, then I'm only going to be able to move it to match exactly where those are.
Right, you're snapping it.
Yeah, but then these are still separate vertices. So I'm going to grab them again. I'm going to say merge, like that.
Wow.
Now I've got that. I can do the same thing over here. Extrude, move it down, scale it down, and then constrained, which it already is because I was only moving on the y-axis, and then there. And then I can say vertex, and then merge.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I can do the same thing over here, and I'm gonna do two actually. I'm gonna do right like that. I'm gonna be a little bit fancy with it. Scale that, and then I can move those right like that. Constrain, and it'll have done the same thing down here. And this is the other thing, is when you start to get faster at this, you can do multiple things at once because you know that the functions are going to affect the model in the same way. So I can merge all of these at once instead of having to do it twice. And now I could select each of these and bridge them, or I could just grab these and extrude those edges. And then I'm constrained to the Z, and then snap them right there, and then I can merge them again. So now I've got this, and this is all I need, because then all I need to do then is match the gizmo right there, and then duplicate it, and then constrain, snap it right there. But these don't match, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it on the Y, -1, whoops, only want to scale 1 on the Y, -1. And then snap it right there. Oh, come on. There we go. There. And now I can say, combine these meshes, merge the verts, and now I've got a chunk of 2, and then I can just keep doing the same thing.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's not about using any particular method of manipulating the geometry. It's about using all of the methods and knowing which one is the right method to use.
Yeah, I had a question then, since sometimes some of the time machines they have curved, surfaces. Do you have like a go-to method? Even though
Right.
you can use all of them, but do you like, for example, your ship does have some curves. Do you use nerves curves a lot for those, or do you use something else?
Um, so, I try and use NURBS curves as little as possible. NURBS are really very scary. But I just downloaded that. So I'm gonna say show in folder. And I'm going to try and see if I could. Yeah, this is. Huh. This would be really tough to model, honestly. Um, but there are some ways that I would. There are some things that I would use to make it easier on myself. So first of all, stuff like the bridle. Just draw that. Like, don't model that.
It says she wants us to have a 3D model so that like we can light it and get the materials on it. But I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
bottle and stuff that would be on the inside anyways.
Yeah. I would block that out. Like probably make it a couple of pieces of geometry. But don't like fully model it, because that is really hard to do in Maya. Like, I've seen, like, Dave really likes cowboys. I've seen Dave take days of his life every class just working on like a really complex organic looking shape in Maya. And I swear he did a saddle like this, or a little like seat, like leather looking seat like this. But the way that I would do a lot of this is using a tool that I really love, Quad Draw. So I'm going to make a new plane. I'm gonna rotate. God, I can never remember how to. No, that's scale. I can never remember which way it goes. Make a new plane. Scale it up. It's already got my frickin' thing on it. I'm gonna assign a new material. I'm gonna grab a Lambert, and then grab your file. There we go. I'm just gonna kind of size it until I think it matches. Yeah, that's about it, right? Yeah. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start drawing directly on this to get this basic shape. I'm going to, and a lot of people who might watch this later already know how to do this. I'm gonna hit this button up here to make it live. And then I'm going to grab Quad Draw, and I'm actually going to open my modeling toolkit also. Quad Draw is really great. Basically, you click and then you hold Shift and you make a polygon. So I'm just going to just keep doing this, kind of figuring out how I want my edge flow to be. I might actually, I might use something like that. Quad Draw is especially useful for like proper actual modelers, but it's also useful for if you want to get really nice complex organic shapes. And it's not going to be perfect, it's going to be a little edgy. It's going to have some edges to it.
Because they're quads, right?
Yeah, so like, but then I can do this. And then I can hold Tab and extrude this one, and then just do it again. But then I'm gonna end up needing some more complex shapes in here, so I can hold Shift on, or I can hold Control on a line and throw in edge loops. I can put another one in there. it doesn't really matter if you go, and if you go tab middle mouse, you can extrude both of them at once. Yeah. It doesn't really matter if your geometry is kind of crazy, because again, this isn't like this is not going to be rigged. Yeah, and actually, honestly, Control Shift is delete, and you can delete whole chunks like that. Honestly, I would throw a cylinder primitive in here and not shape it with quad draw. But yeah, like tab middle mouse, I can extrude this whole thing, and then I can start shaping it. And I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but I'm gonna like try and like get an idea of how I would do this. And then Shift, you relax. You can like kind of make it all more uniform, and if you hit B, you get the brush tool, which relaxes more stuff at once, but it maintains the edge that you defined. But use it sparingly, because if you use it too much, your mesh is going to look all smooth and amorphous and not very interesting looking. So yeah, I would like do something like that, and then I hold Control H to hide. Oh yeah, I also need to assign this better material. Yeah, so basically now you've got like the basic shape, and then if you had made the whole thing, then you would do stuff like grab the edge, just double click on the edge, and extrude it out, and you'd start to get your shape. And then you could extrude it in a little bit. You could start to actually like, I don't know how it works inside, but you could do something like that. And then probably make sure to bevel the edge. Something like that. And then like you're definitely going to want to try and make it as symmetrical as possible, especially when you're first starting out. So you freeze transformations, you find someplace in the middle, and then you duplicate it and you scale it back, and now
Did you use a negative to scale it?
yeah, so you scale it. Ooh, there's some gross geometry in there. Yeah, that's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I scaled it by -Z, and that's just gonna mirror it along the z-axis. And then I grab the objects, I combine them, and then I merge the vertices. All of this stuff, it was like, I think that I learned a lot of this stuff in the Death Star panel projects from Dave. That's where I first learned it. Like, that was really a lot of our introduction to polymodeling and kit bashing. And polymodeling and kit bashing is the way that I do a lot of this stuff. I'm just going to pull up my portfolio really quick. Like this was all polymodeling and kit bashing.
Oh, only Maya is showing.
Oh, shoot, yeah, hang on. It's because the OBS can see everything on my screen, but maybe I can just set it to look at everything on my screen with yeah, I can just say screen 1. That way you can see. So this is our Discord channel, and then if I pull up yeah, so this was all polymodeling and kit bashing, all primitives. I used some tools that I used most of the tools I just showed you. I used some of them that I didn't, and then I painted on top. This was ZBrush. This was ZBrush. This was polymodeling kit bashing. Yeah. And then let me see if I can. This was kit bashed the arms, and then sculpted the rest. Kit bashed the arms and the backpack. That was sculpting. That was sculpting. That was sculpting. Yeah. So it's a lot of what I do to get the kind of geometrical stuff, like anything that's not organic. I'll probably use some version of these methods. Your time machine though. This is a tough one.
Oh yeah, I'm like wings.
The wings. What I would do for that is I would do those in ZBrush. I just kind of like shape a mesh, just kind of sculpt it into that shape, and then it's gonna take a lot of overdrawing too, of drawing over it too. Like it's like you can use those models to get the light and shadow, but then you'd still have to draw over it a lot to actually make it look good. Because making it look good with the model is a lot of work. But then there's stuff like these posts, just cylinders. Like you just make them cylinders. These spokes, these wheels for the spokes are super easy. You just grab here, like I can do that now. You just grab a cylinder. This is why you never assign your first existing material to your reference, because then you're gonna have to assign the different material to every other one of your references. Yeah, I'd rotate this. No, not like that. This. And then you scale it down. You change the inputs, so like I'm gonna change the subdivisions on the cap. And then delete all of these. And then grab these edges, kind of scale them up a bit. Oh, that's gonna actually send them out. So yeah, so this is the thing. You've got to be careful while you're doing this stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to be as exact as you want to be. So that was my instinct. But what I really should have done there is grabbed these and then use the slide edge tool, drag with middle mouse button to slide this edge, and that's going to make sure that it still remains on the same plane. And then I can delete all of these. That was a little difficult sometimes. And then grab these edges and extrude them.
Jack, I think it's because you decided to share the whole screen instead of just Maya that the quality dropped a bit.
Oh no!
No, it's fine. Where was the slide edge tool?
Slide edge tool is under mesh tools. It's
Okay.
second from the bottom.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I join those, and then I just grab all the verts, and I merge them, and it's gonna merge the ones that are overlapping. And then I do stuff like probably bevel this edge, make it extra tiny, and then grab this, or which ones you want. Extrude those inward, and then you can scale them down. Maybe it's not perfect. If I was really gonna do this, what I'd do is I would actually delete 1/4 of each of this. Like I would grab this, delete that, this, delete that, and then I would just work on 1/4 and say face and extrude it in just like that. and then extrude it out. Whoops. Extrude it out like that. And then modify freeze transformations. I'm going through all of this, like, I'm kind of rushing through all of this because the what I want to get to is I want to explain to you the rendering thing. That's what a lot of people wanted to know. And then I'd say duplicate special. I want 3 copies on a 90-degree rotation. Note that didn't work. Oh, it's because I rotated along the wrong axis. But you get the idea. It was going to yeah. No, what I need to do is I need to move the gizmo. Yeah, I need to put the cursor down there. Problem is that it's hard to get it here. What I'll do is I'll go to the front view. Oops. This is kind of clumsy. There are better ways to do this, but I don't. Maybe I'll like try and figure. Maybe I'll try and find a tutorial that like this is how you do spoked wheels. Anyway, yeah. So I've grabbed that. What I really should have done is just kept the original sphere pivot point. Let me see if I can go back to there. So if I grab this object, yeah, it's at the original sphere pivot point. So I can just, yeah, this is why you always try and think ahead. Try and make sure that your modeling is going to be accurate. There, something like that. That's why you always try and think ahead. Try and make sure that your modeling is going to be accurate, because being exact and precise is going to really save you a lot of time in the long run, and being sloppy is going to cost you time. There, so now pivot point is where I want it. I say duplicate special. It's already on those settings, but instead of rotating on the y-axis, I'm going to rotate on the z-axis by 90 degrees 3 times. There we go. Yeah, so like something like that, except if you want, you could add more spokes by using a smaller fraction and rotating it more. Like that kind of thing. This is the same way that I did the drone for Violet. Yeah, that I uploaded the time-lapse of. Except the drone's propellers were a lot more complex. Yeah. No, it's alright. Yeah, so then, the boat. Like, I need to render out the boat. And I'm gonna do that for Jeff's class. I'm gonna do that in Keyshot. I know not everyone has Keyshot, but we can. You can do similar kinds of things in Blender. You can do similar kinds of things. You can actually do really similar kinds of things just natively in Maya with Arnold. I just can't stand Arnold, so I'm using Keyshot. I'm gonna use a new file because I changed the boat since then. Oh wait, I need to export the boat.
So when you did you combine everything, or are they still?
Yeah, I combined everything. So I'm gonna combine it all. It's all combined. I could add more props to the deck. I might do that later, because adding geometric props like these to the deck, that's something easier done in Maya than it is by drawing. Yeah, I might do that later. But for right now, I'm going to go into Keyshot. I'm going to say, whoops. I'm going to say file, import. I'm going to import the Calypso. Oh wait, I still didn't export it. File, export selection. All the settings are correct. Export the Calypso 2. Export. And then I'm going to say import that. There. And my computer goes nuts because Keyshot is pretty heavy. Yeah. So I just want to like choose the right angle. Jeff wants us at a 3/4 angle. What I should also do... Oh, I forgot to do that. Okay, well, let's pause that. I'm going to do something else too. Which is I'm going to establish just a very small reference. Reference box so that I know the proper perspective, because this boat has a lot of perspective on it, but the perspective isn't obvious because it in itself is kind of a more organic shape. So I'm gonna like place this right here, bring it really far down, and then I'm just gonna do this. I'm using the multi-cut tool. That's what it's called. It's called the multi-cut tool. I'm using the multi-cut tool and I'm holding control. I'm holding control and that just lets me add an edge loop.
I see. So you're doing this to just establish where the perspective is going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a helpful thing that I actually learned by looking at Gaiman's concept art. I've been very heavily inspired doing this kinds of stuff by the team at Arcane Leon who work on Dishonored. And this idea came directly from one of their mock-ups for their own boats. And I was like, ooh, that's really helpful. So yeah, there we go. So now I'm gonna combine those, export it one more time. I'm going to just export it right on top of the old one. Discard this, and then file, import. There. So now, like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose my shot. Navigation in Keyshot is different than Maya, and it's constantly, I'm constantly switching between programs, which means I'm constantly, like, trying to, oh, what's my render? What's my render? What's my camera set at? I'm trying to find my output set. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna output in widescreen, which is 3480 by... I don't remember. Let me just pull up. Here, I'm gonna take this over here. And I'm gonna pause this while I'm doing that so my computer's not going nuts. Hey, I said stop. There we go.
For in Keyshot, would it be
Oh yeah. So I don't think it would be any easier on my machine. I think it would mostly just be easier on Discord. But
Okay, never mind.
I could change it still. Yeah, 3440 by I said 3440. um Edit custom. We'll do a new one. We'll call it 3440 by 1440.
Hey, before you continue the recording, can I?
There we go. Huh?
Before you continue the recording, I was gonna say.
Sorry?
Please continue.
You cut out again. Oh, okay. Yeah, you keep cutting out. Okay, I'm gonna continue, alright? Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna kinda angle this how I would like to angle it. Jeff wants it in a 3/4 view where we get a good look at the whole ship. I might do 2 views so I can show off all the. Well, maybe I'll. If I can just render one, then I want to just render one. Something like that. It's pretty nice. It's looking pretty good. I wish that it would let me. Oh, that's fine. Okay, and then I'm gonna choose a different. So the best thing about Keyshot is that it's all of its environments, basically all of its lighting, is done with HDRIs, which are these 360-degree images, and those are the only things that are lighting it. Basically, the only thing that's lighting it is the computer calculates how much light is coming from each specific spot on the globe that's surrounding it, based on how bright the pixels are and what colors they are. So they've got some pretty crazy ones. They've got some pretty basic ones. I could put it in here, and then you see the lighting on it is going to change. Or like on one of those sunrise, crazy lighting, really cool stuff. But for right now, I'm going to use some of the standard studio lighting setups, and I don't know anything about lighting, so I generally tend to just toss them in until I figure out which one's the best. And the background that it's going to put over them doesn't really matter, because I'm gonna take that out when I take it to Photoshop. That's pretty good. Maybe something with a little more contrast. Not that much. I like that. Which one is that? Light temp? Yeah. Let's go with this one. Oh wait, not that one. This one.
It's just drag and drop.
Yeah, it's just drag and drop. Keyshot is great because it makes your models look awesome, and it does it really easily. It does it with minimal amount of fussing and all of that stuff that I don't like about Arnold. And then it's also got a bunch of materials. These materials are really helpful. I used the glass material to get the glass for Tasso's grenade. This one. I still had to paint the liquid inside, but the glass was all Keyshot. And then I did some filters over it just to make it look not so photoreal, to make it look still a little painted. So I could I could just browse all the materials. I could basically just kind of throw a matte onto it. I think it already had the matte gray on it. Measured material. It's gonna show off a little bit more of the texture or the weird stuff that I throw in. I think that's actually the material that's doing that. Keyshot's materials sometimes are kind of weird. They're not as realistic as Substance, but also the other benefit to Keyshot is you noticed that I didn't have to export any UVs. This model is not UV'd. Yeah. And that's super, super helpful when you're just trying to kit bash something together really quick, just to like make it work so that you can get it out there. Something like that, maybe. I want to do something really basic because most of what I'm going to most of like what's going on with this is going to be in the painting, in Photoshop.
I have a question.
Yeah?
So what if one material of the shape is different from the other? How would you do that?
So there are a couple of different ways to do that. Yeah, I didn't really like that tangent with the thing right there, so I'm gonna do something more like that. The go-to, so what something I rendered in Keyshot was the double eye helm. For this, what I did is I took a render in the silver metal, and I took a render in the gold metal, and I took a bunch of different ones. And then I layered them all on top of each other, and I just masked in and out which ones I wanted. And the gold one, for the filigree, I masked it in and out with a bump map layer. Or I think it's called Bevel and Emboss in Photoshop. So you can really easily just take a bunch of different renders of a bunch of different materials and layer them all on top of each other. Actually, I can demonstrate that here, because the real-life Calypso, the one that we're actually supposed to be modeling for Jeff's, or be modeling some version of for Jeff's class, is multiple colors. It looks like...
Because I was wondering if you separate the object from the layer, and if you can separate and look that with like
there's a way to do that. Like, that's how I did the glass. But, it's kind of a pain. And unless you're really going for a vastly different material, like glass versus metal, I would just render the different versions and then paint them in. But yeah, the real life Calypso looks like this. And so I could like render one with white paint and one with black paint and one with red paint, and actually maybe I'll do that. Luckily, they've got a whole bunch of different paints. Oh, this is textured paint though, we don't want that. And this paint is really shiny, so I'm gonna go with that basic matte gray. So I'm gonna take my first render, and I'm going to render some passes. I'm gonna want my con pass to differentiate the different objects, a depth pass so that I can add a little bit of atmospheric perspective really easily even to a design painting like this. I always take a depth pass, a shadow pass, an AO pass, and lighten pass? I can never remember. Normals is really helpful for isolating like all the tops of the object. In fact, I might take that right now just in case. That'll be good. Yeah. And I swear, I thought I... Oh yeah, that's the one I wanted. 3840 by 1607. Let's do that. And then, I can render it. So, it's gonna take a little while. I'm gonna go get some water while I'm waiting. Water pitcher was empty. Someone didn't refill it. Okay. It got a little fuzzy, but that's fine. I can blur that out. And most of this is like for the sake of getting proper shadows and proper passes
And it's recording still for your demo?
Yeah. Yeah. I just haven't stopped recording since. So now I can open up Photoshop. And I can close down Keyshot because it's really a pain in the butt. I don't need that. So I'm going to, and this is just some of the really basic stuff that I will be doing. So there's my render. It's a little bit fuzzy all over. It's kind of low res. I actually might, like when I come back and do this, I might render up a higher pass, but overall it's pretty good. Here, I think enough of it's filtered by now. I spilled a little on the floor. So first thing I do is I'm going to take the clone pass and I'm going to dump it on top. No, never mind. God, Photoshop is such a pain in the butt. It never wants to do what I want it to do. Open that up, layer it from the background, and then hold shift while I'm transferring it over. There we go. Jesus. And I'm just going to, oh, that's not gonna work. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna grab the whole thing, and I'm going to create a new layer. And then I'm gonna paste that onto the no. Oh no, this is. See, I keep on forgetting how to do the basic stuff. And this is also because I haven't worked on Photoshop on my desktop in a while, so I don't have any of my windows set up properly. I'm gonna grab channels. Oh yeah, channels is over there. Right. Okay. So, open this up. Select that. Adjustments. Oh, adjustments is right here. Yeah, nothing's where it should be. I'm gonna adjust curves. Oh, I'm still selected from the, and my Control Z isn't working either. Adjust curves. Why isn't this working? It's as bright as it can be, huh? There we go. So it did work, it just didn't. Yeah, so Photoshop is a pain sometimes.
Basically, you want to mask out the background.
Yeah, I want to mask out the background, but this would be much better done on my tablet where I actually have all my settings properly labeled and I can't struggle. I'm not gonna struggle with it as much as I do now. Let's see, everything looks right. I just don't understand. I just have completely blanked on what the actual process for this is. Okay.
Are you gonna mask out the background and start painting in all the shit?
I'm mostly going to, I'm not going to actually do any painting. I'm just going to show how I use the different passes that I took.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, because that's, like, everyone, I trust that everyone knows how to paint. Everyone who's going to watch this knows how to paint. And you definitely know how to paint. But, that's the thing that I feel like a lot of people struggle with, is how to use the passes. And Maya can do all that same stuff, like depth and lighting, and I'd be able to and like the clone pass and be able to isolate all of this. Same with Blender if you're gonna use that. Blender has its own issues. When I take a clone pass in Blender and I actually want to isolate multiple different objects, sometimes it just decides to make two objects the exact same color, and so I can't isolate them. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this, or I'm gonna grab I grabbed the red channel. That's what I was doing wrong. I grabbed the red channel, and then I add a new I create a new. There we go. Now I just need to invert this mask and grab the mask, and then I bet a bunch of people watching this were screaming like, just grab the red channel. Oh wait, no, I didn't need to invert it. Control Alt Z when Photoshop is being dumb. Grab that, and then I mask it up, and then you've got the boat. And then this mask is just the mask that I'm going to use for the rest of it all. So I'm just going to throw these into a folder. Make another layer, and then just make the background gray for now, or whatever color I want it to be. There we go. That's giving like some proper coverage. And then so the Keyshot exports the passes that you've taken in .exr files. There you can see some of those. And EXR files are kind of hard to deal with, but there's a way to deal with them in Photoshop. And for that, I have done what I always do when I can't remember how to do something, and I've looked up my YouTube likes where I liked a tutorial about it when I first found out how to do this. So I just need to remember where to put them. Oh yeah, so how about I grab the lighting pass. I open it with Photoshop. And do I open it as a transparency or as an alpha channel? As a transparency, right? Yeah. There's lighting. It looks the same, except maybe a little bit better lit. But what I need to do is I need to go to image, mode, and I need to say 8 bits channel. Say okay. There we go. And now I've got my actual lighting. And there was something else I needed to do here. Oh, I can handle that later. Yeah. Wait, there's someone else. Oh, that's on the Party Banter thing. We're trying to get Party Banter up off the ground again. Luckily, Party Banter is one of those things that was already mostly online. Let me grab the depth. I'm gonna open that up as a transparency. So this is not supposed to look like this. This is supposed to look like depth. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm gonna say 8 bits channel. I think there was something I was supposed to. Oh yeah, I was supposed to equalize the histogram. There we go. So now I've got my depth, and I can use this in the same way that I used that red channel to isolate the stuff that's further from us or closer to us. And say okay. And now I can just grab this, throw that in there.
Oh, I think it lagged a bit, but to make sure these DXR files are coming into Photoshop correctly, when you pull the file in, you go up to image and then mode.
When I pull the file in, yeah, I go to image and then mode and I say 8 bits channel. That's just this one. And then this one. Oh wait, it's still an 8 bits channel. I don't actually know what any of that actually means, and I have no idea how it works. I just do it because YouTube Man told me to, and it works. So now I've got my... Yeah, now I've got my depth. I can also isolate my depth so that I'm just grabbing what I want to grab when I grab my depth. Same thing with lighting. If I actually go back, well, I've got to close it. If I grab lighting again as transparency, yeah, and then equalize histogram. And there, see, it's only showing me the stuff that was lit by Keyshot. All of the stuff that's in darkness, it's in complete darkness.
Okay.
And so I can use this to just isolate where the light was hitting it. Same with the shadow pass, which is by far probably the most helpful. And I'll do that one next. And again, I'm going to, I'm going to isolate that. So I've got my lighting, I've got my depth, I've got my, this is just called final color output, although it's not colored. Yeah, let's do shadows next. As transparency, wait, that's not supposed to happen. Oh, shadow does something different. Never mind. If I, because it's been a little while. Last time I really had to do this was when I was doing the monsters for Embrace. When I was doing the mock-ups for those. So it's been about a month and a half, and I swapped computers. So, oh, but I can definitely do the AO. So I can't quite remember. There we go. So this is AO. This basically doesn't have much to do with the shadows. It's all just like the core shadows. It's like the dark that comes from stuff being too close to each other, so the light can't hit it well enough. This is a super helpful pass that I always like to have. So the way in which I would use some of these is I would say, for example, I grab the depth pass, and then I create a new layer with the depth pass as my mask. Oh wait, I need to grab the depth pass by actually grabbing it in the channels. Grab the depth pass, create a new layer with the depth pass as my mask. And then I just paint in on that layer. I'm just gonna use my mouse for this. Like I'm gonna use gradient. And then yeah, if I just paint in this layer, then oh wait, I needed to invert the mask. Invert, yeah. Just paint in this layer. Oh wait. Paint in this layer. And now I've got the light showing up better in front. Oops. Yeah, none of my shortcuts are correct because I just put Photoshop on this new machine. All the light is showing up in the front, but it's not back behind, but it's still got this little halo. So what I'm probably gonna do is adjust my mask a little bit. So I'll go back to depth. Maybe I'll delete this. And yeah, it takes some fiddling to really figure out exactly how it works. So now I've got depth again. But it's being a little screwy. So I will. Well, maybe the black actually being there will help. Make another new layer. Use the depth pass again. And yeah, no, this is how it's supposed to go. So now I can paint in with this, and this light will show up behind, but it's not going to show up. Whoops. These freaking shortcuts. This light will show up behind, but it's not going to show up in front as much. Yeah. So I can just completely cover this in white, and it'll actually be just like a really intense fog. Or more, probably better to completely cover it in like a light gray. And it'll be like a really intense fog where it obscures a lot of the back while keeping a lot of the front in more detail.
Right. I see.
Yeah. I love using AO. And I love using AO with excuse me. Oof. I love using AO with curves. So I'm gonna grab AO. And then this is just the original boat. This doesn't have any other passes on it. I'm gonna grab AO. And I'm gonna make a new. Make a new curve. And then I can bring. Oh wait, I needed to invert that too. Invert that. Make a new curve, and then I can bring just the AO down on the boat. And I can adjust that however I want. I can make it like really dark, but still keep a lot of the light on the stuff that's not being occluded by any of the ambient occlusion, or I can basically turn ambient occlusion off, and make it look really gross. And then when I start painting this, I'll probably start doing a color. Oh yeah, okay. Last thing, and then I'm gonna export this video and send it to the rest of the people. Last thing, I'm going to. Oh, I can't do that because I closed Keyshot. Never mind. But basically, how you would do this is, let's say I took another. Let's say I took another render, but this render was red, so it wouldn't look like this, but this will get us the same effect. Let's say I took another render, this render was red, and the red render looked like that. Yeah. So what I would do is I would do all the same stuff, and then I grab the red, totally mask it out, and then layer it right on top of this boat. So imagine that's another render. I totally masked it out. It's layered right on top of the boat. Then all I wanted to do is just paint it back in. So I would just grab like where I wanted the red to be.
Yeah.
And then paint it right back in with the mask.
Right.
And that's basically like how I would do colors and materials, is render in different materials, different colors, and then just mask them in and out.
Okay.
And all of this without any painting yet. And then later I go in and I start painting, I start photo bashing, I start making it look like actually a piece of concept art and not just a model.
Thank you so much, Jack, for your time and showing all the different ways of going from one program to another.
Yeah. It's a really difficult way to work when you first get started on it, and I can understand that it's kind of a lot right now. But it saves you so much time in the long run, and it really it lets you approach your artwork with a different way of thinking. Like I still do plenty of paintings too, but most of the stuff in my portfolio now is using some version of this method, like either with Maya or with ZBrush or with 3D Coat, and then rendered in Modo or in Keyshot or in Blender. It's all like what I showed today is just one example. And I don't want like everyone to go out and just get Keyshot and just like everyone shouldn't just go and get Keyshot and just start doing exactly what this is. They should take it more as like, okay, this is the philosophy behind the 3D to 2D stuff. This is like how you kind of approach it. And then once you know that, once you know this kind of like this approach, and once you know that this is how I would approach it, or this is how you could approach it, then you can approach it in any number of different programs. Like, I'm sure that there are some people in your class who know Blender really well and who know how to take those passes out of Blender, who know how to put an HDRI in Blender, which you can do. That's the way that I did the Coastal Ruins painting. This was rendered on Blender. This was an HDRI. And the sculpts I made in Keyshot. These are sculpts I took in Keyshot, but I made them in 3D Coat. So it's like, and most people are just gonna mostly know Arnold. And you can do all the same stuff in Arnold, but the takeaway is more that this is how you should approach it, not like these are specific steps to use.
Yeah, I think I was wondering about the crown pass because I saw the ruins and there was a pass that was like it looked like rainbow colors. No, the crest.
Oh yeah. Wait, let me go to my art station.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the passes that I took for this, and this one was the con pass.
Okay.
And you can see that there's supposed to be this little thing here, but Blender decided to color it the same color as the ocean in the con pass, and there's nothing I can do about it, so I had to manually mess that one out by hand. But the rest of it, I use these and I use this to isolate each different asset, and then I was able to use that to like paint like for example paint the foliage onto this but have it not bleed onto that.
Right.
Yeah. I wish I could show you the shadow and light passes that you can use to adjust the actual lighting. But it's basically the same method. You put the shadow pass in. It's basically the same method as the AO. You put the shadow pass in, and then you put it on a curves layer, and then you can adjust your shadows or adjust your lights just with curves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super helpful.
I hope so. I feel like I just rambled for an hour and a half.
I still think there's things that people can take away, and the modeling was also super helpful too, just because to get like my bearings again and stuff, and seeing different techniques was helpful. How you were saying you can do it this way or that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. I don't want to like teach a class. I just want to like provide a helpful resource. So I'll look over the recording, make sure that nothing that I don't want publicized made it into this, and then I'll just post it unlisted on YouTube, and you can link everyone to it, and they can see the way that I might do some stuff.
Thanks, Jack. And also that YouTube video that you used to reference for bringing the HDRIs into, or I mean the DXRs into Photoshop.
Oh yeah, the .exrs. I'll post that one too, or I'll send that one to you too, so you can look at that. There are a couple of different ones, and that took me a while to figure out too, just to figure out precisely how to do it. And it also depends upon what kind of pass it is too. Like this is normals, and I think that it's already an 8-bit channel, normals. So I don't actually know exactly how you do this with this, but I know that if I oh yeah, there we go.
You said to double click it.
Yeah. Image. I forgot where it was. Oh yeah, image mode, 8-bit. And then I think that if I equalize histogram, yeah, it doesn't work. I think I need to do local. No, that's not it. It was something. Yeah. Exposure and gamma, and then I can do that, and then I can send this back into here. And then if I do something like I open up paths, or no, if I open up channels, then I can like grab the grain.
Right. I see.
And then I can just raise the brightness on all of the panels that are facing directly up, or make them a lot darker, stuff like that. Now I'm just playing around. Um, yeah. Okay. I'll go over all this. I'll link it to everyone. I'll link it to you, and you can send it to everyone. Um,
Send it to the class channel.
yeah. And then hopefully people can just take away what they will from it. And hopefully it'll be helpful to some people. Yeah. That's all I can really hope for. I am going to transfer all of these documents onto my tablet where I can actually paint.
Oh really? You're painting on your tablet?
Well, it's the Wacom Mobile Studio, so it's a PC, but it's functionally a tablet.
After the recording's done, can I ask you something real quick?
Yeah, definitely. But in the meantime, to everyone watching this on YouTube later, thanks for sticking with it all the way through. I hope you could take something from it, and